What up? Happy Saturday. Good morning, Rodney. I love you. 48 more days. 48 more motherfucking days. Oh, man. A little less than 2 months. It's crazy. And just to think that not too long ago, I couldn't muster up 30 days. Now I'm coming up on 30 days till I have 2 years. It's been a hell of a ride. Yeah, I'm in a different car. It's wild how I look at the signs now. So I guess I'll call this looking at the signs. I was once asked, I think it was like 2017. Yeah, this is a 2017 Nissan Pathfinder. I'm driving a sign. But I was once asked in 2017, I went to treatment. I called my sister and I said, man, I need to get the fuck up out of here. And I had all of these resentments towards the people I worked with, towards the person I was with at the time, my past relationships, the shit happened when I was a kid. It was all coming all at once. I was finally deciding that I was going to get clean for the first time in my life. And I have been clean from everything, alcohol, everything, for the first time in my life, at least for that time period. And I was asked, what's the difference between religion and spirituality? And what I had said was that religion is the map and spirituality is the signs. And I didn't quite understand what I understand today, 9 years later. And again, this is my perspective. But I still find it true that spirituality is the signs. And without both, I just aimlessly walk around in circles, trying to do it all on my own. Spirituality gives me the ability to see the people, places, and things as signs sometimes. And then I start putting things together and, I've heard people say you can turn anything into a sign. You can. But when I really stay open-minded, when I use the spiritual principle of open-mindedness, and I'm open to any sign being something positive, what's wrong with that? But when I connect the dots using spirituality and the signs, it becomes evident to me of a power greater than myself, which is God for me, that He's at work. And that gives me the ability to not just have hope, but remain hopeful. And if somebody were to ask me what's the definition of being caught in the darkness, my disease, I would say it's hopelessness. And I would say that spirituality and religion give me faith and keep me hopeful. And that hopefulness drives me with purpose. And that purpose drives me to put in the work. When I'm feeling insecure with my body, because maybe I suffer from some body dysmorphia, I go into the gym. I eat correctly. When I'm suffering from fear and anxiety, I have faith that God's out there and He's at work. When I'm struggling with my past and I'm beating on myself with shame and guilt, I have acceptance and surrender. And through years of practicing these spiritual principles, I see the signs in everything. And I don't take that tree that I'm going to pass by as, oh, it's pointing to the north, so that means move forward. That's not what I mean. I could say that a friend of mine got into an accident, and it was in a Ford Escape, and it was the same year of the car and color of the first car I ever sold. And I somehow came up on this 2017 Nissan Pathfinder to give to them. And when they were always trying to escape, God finds a way to find a path for them. You know, I can put it together like that because this came at the exact time it was needed. I can say that when I'm feeling low and I flip onto YouTube and maybe a message at that exact moment says, let go of your past, and I listen to it, that's a sign. Or a song that randomly comes on that helps me deal with what I'm struggling with. For instance, I'm struggling with dreams that I have. I'm struggling with my past and my disease, which, you know, is normal for me to struggle with. And then a song like Pretty Toxic Revolver would come on by MGK and inspire me to want to do this message. Because that Pretty Toxic Revolver for me today is my thoughts. And the way I deal with those thoughts and how I cope with them are these videos. It's one of them. And then I share about it on here, and hopefully one day, if not already, but one day, somebody will come on and randomly pop into this video years from now, or hopefully, or whenever, and they'll see that here I am with 48 more days to 2 years, and I didn't think that I could come back. It's not like I didn't have 2 years before. But when I relapsed, I couldn't muster up 30 more days after, you know, a certain point. And I didn't think I could get 30 days. I told myself I could just get 30 days. But I was trying to do it all on my own. Trying to go back to what I thought I was doing. And I wasn't changing anything. So it was that cycle of just let's muscle through it, let's white knuckle it, and then we'll make it to Saturday. And if we can make it to Saturday and get through Saturday, we'll make it to Sunday. And there became that point where like I couldn't even, like I'd get home and like it was there. And I tell myself, why don't I just not, instead of why don't I just change the environment, people, places, and things? I have a better shot if I do it that way. But I didn't want to do it that way. And I told myself I couldn't. Like, how am I going to? How am I going to go home and not ask for it? How am I going to go home and not want to? And that's not to blame anybody but myself. And it wasn't until I looked up and I said, I have nothing left and I need you, and I'm going to risk it all right now. I'm going to risk it all and make the call that will probably get me to lose my job, lose my place, and maybe lose my kids. I've already lost everything else in terms of internally. I have nothing left. And that massive action and that act of courage of saying, no matter what happens next, I'm going to fight again. Not this one last time. I'm going to fight again. And in that, I didn't lose myself. I found myself. And I've been able to keep the things that I obtained while I was clean for the time being, and gained so much more. So much more. I've gained an amazing relationship with what I believe is my person. I've gained this sense of well-being for myself by all the work I've put in. Woke up this morning and I didn't want to go to the gym. I told myself, well, it's Saturday. I don't start till 8:30. I might as well just freaking sleep in a little bit more. I woke up at 5:30. And something in me said, okay, we can create that bad habit. And so I went above and beyond, cleaned, and then went. Just so I can finish that workout, this song pops on, and then I decide to look at how much time I have until I have 2 years. And I'm like, 48 fucking more days. Like, holy shit, man. Less than 71. Or 72. That number will always be ingrained in my soul. Stared at that number for like 2 years. Like, fuck, I'll never get back there. And I've got 48 more days until I got 2 years. So this journey of 2 years, Monday I'm going to Mount Rainier, and I'm taking my person, and we're going to go on a spiritual walk. A year later, from where I went up there with somebody else. I'm just very lucky and grateful that God is in my life. And the signs always show up when you're open-minded and willing to see them and honest with yourself about what they look like. Not every dream is a sign. Sometimes it's an insecurity played off by my disease. Sometimes it's an insecurity played off by my fear. So I can't tell myself that every single dream I have is a word from God. But I can say that the reason I had this dream is something I need to work through. Maybe this one last night was about attachment. Maybe it was about fear. I don't know. Or maybe it was just over the last week of struggles. All I know is I didn't wake up feeling empty. I woke up feeling motivated. And I wouldn't feel like that today if I hadn't put in the work that I've put in so far. So when I'm falling back in terms of mental health, when I'm falling back in terms of physical health, I know exactly where to go and exactly what to do, because I've done it time and time again now. And it just takes that day one and just doing it over and over and over and over and over again. Because that's what I did. I got loaded over and over and over again. So I put in a harder effort into staying clean than I do of getting loaded. And if you just put the same effort into staying clean or sober that you did by getting loaded or high or drunk, it'll work out. I know this, and I'll end on this note. that no matter what, as long as I don't get loaded and I keep leaning on God, everything works out. My bills work out. My relationships work out. When I look in the mirror, it works out. Everything works out. There's a lot of discomfort, especially in the beginning of this. And this is, if as long as I keep that, it's always going to be the beginning. And all I have is today, and it's reset. Everything works out no matter what happened yesterday or 10 minutes ago. It all works out. You have what it takes. You got this. You can make this happen. You just have to have a small grain of faith, and that small grain of faith would create an enormous amount of hope, which will then give you purpose, and that purpose will drive you. It will drive you to places that you never thought you could ever see. The things that you never thought you would ever do, where you were like, I never thought in a million years I'd be with this person or doing these things. And those things, when you got other things that are struggling, will help you stay focused. That's all I got. Love yourself. I love you, Rodney. We got this. You got this. We all have what it takes. Bye.